Welcome to the silence before the reckoning, the stillness before the firestorm, the space where truth begins to rise like smoke from an ancient battlefield, where the scent of sacrifice still lingers and the dirt remembers every step that was taken to bring you here. This is not a game. This is not a show. This is not a story you scroll past. This is the call that shakes the marrow of your bones and reminds you you are standing on ground, soaked in struggle, where every inch of your freedom, every breath in your lungs came at a cost. Someone paid in pain, someone bled so you could breathe, someone disappeared into the dark so you could walk in the light. And if you think that means your fight is over, then you never understood the debt you carry. You weren't born in the fire, but the fire burns in you. Now, not because of coincidence, but because of inheritance. You didn't start the war, but it runs through your veins. It echoes in the bloodline of survivors, in the eyes of the ones who endured in silence and pain, so that you could rise. And yet here we are, in a world that would rather numb you than wake you, that would rather sell you comfort than teach you character. But this is not where you fall asleep. This is where you wake the hell up. Because whether you see it or not, the storm is circling and your name is carved into the center of it. There is a graveyard of the forgotten behind your every step. Warriors whose names you'll never know. Soldiers of purpose who never lived to see the victory their hands carved out. There were voices choked out before they could speak. Blood spilled before justice had a name. Hearts broken to build foundations that could hold you. And still, we dare act like we're tired, like the path is too steep or the weight too heavy. We complain about pressure while standing on pillars of sacrifice. How dare we forget who bore the burden before us? How dare we pretend like we're not built to continue what they started? You think pain is your enemy, but pain is your compass. It's the ancient code passed through generations, saying, wake up. This matters, this is the path, this is what costs someone everything, and it's in your hands now. Not to worship their suffering, but to answer it with action, with courage, with endurance. You were not given a throne, you were given a chance paid in blood, in silence, in screams buried beneath history books, and quiet conversations behind closed doors. Don't dishonor it by staying soft. Don't betray it by standing still. Everything you run from now, everything you hesitate to face, someone else already stood in front of it with no shield, no escape, and no time to doubt themselves. And they stood, not because they were fearless, but because they refused to be forgotten. Their fight wasn't for themselves. It was for you and for those after you. So when you feel tired, remember, they didn't get to rest. When you feel broken, remember, they shattered first and still stood. When you feel scared, remember, they faced fear with nothing but fire in their eyes and prayers on their breath. And now it's your turn not to copy them, but to carry them forward. Look around this world, rewards apathy. It celebrates distraction. It drowns out truth with noise. But deep down, you know, you were made for more. You weren't built to vanish into comfort. You weren't forged in quiet. You were made of storms, of fight, of purpose. And if you let that fade, then you're letting them down. Every one of them who fought when the odds were impossible. Everyone who bled into the soil that now feeds your path. Everyone who gave everything so you could have anything. And if that doesn't make your heart beat harder, then you've forgotten what it means to live with honor. This isn't motivation. This is memory. This is the legacy calling out from the bones beneath your steps, whispering, this is not over. This never ends. This is a chain of fire passed from hand to hand, and now it's yours. So burn for something. Make it mean something. Fight for something because someone else already died for it. Yet, your comfort, your freedom, your choices are drenched in sacrifice. So stop acting like you're walking alone. Every step you take is followed by shadows of strength, ancestors, warriors, mentors, fallen friends, all watching, all waiting, not for your perfection, but for your persistence. And don't misunderstand, this isn't about guilt. This is about grit. This is about responsibility, about taking the flame they lit and not letting it die in your hands. You weren't born into peace. You were born into a continuation, a battlefield dressed in modern clothes, still echoing the cries of those who came before. And every time you give up, every time you quit, because it's hard, every time you let fear own your decisions, you betray the ones who had no choice but to press on. And you don't get to do that. Not when you've been gifted with options they never had. Remember that echo. It's not just sound, it's not just metaphor, it's blood, memory, it's sacred pressure. It's the reminder that your life is not cheap, is not random, it is not without meaning. And if you don't decide what to do with it, the world will decide for you. And the world doesn't care about your soul, it only cares about your silence. But you weren't made for silence. You were made to speak with your actions, to move like thunder, to become the storm that clears the path for the next soul rising behind you. Do not run from pain, lean into it. Not because suffering is noble, but because growth demands it, because peace requires it, because you cannot claim victory without paying the toll of discipline, of hardship, of struggle. The ones who came before knew this and they didn't quit. So what makes you think you can surrender now? What makes you believe you're not enough when they bled? Believing you were more than enough. They didn't spill their blood for doubt. They gave it for potential yours, and you owe it to them to make good on that promise. There will be nights when everything inside you screams to stop, to disappear, to vanish into the easy route. But that's exactly when you stand taller. That's when you clench your fists and keep walking. That's when you remind yourself, someone took the bullet so you could carry the message. Someone died in silence so you could speak in power. Someone broke the system so you could walk through the door, and you think you're not capable of continuing that line of courage. Then look again, look in the mirror. See the flame in your own eyes. You are the living proof that their pain was not wasted. Your strength was born in their suffering. Your freedom was carved from their chains, and that blood that echoes it, echoes through you. It sings in your steps, it whispers in your heartbeat, and it begs you to rise not perfectly, but powerfully, relentlessly, day after day after day, because that's what legacy demands. It's not built in moments of glory, it's built in the grind, in the quiet, in the doubt, in the dirt. And if you can survive there, then you can lead from there. You can build from there. You can leave behind something greater than what was given to you. Stop waiting for permission. Stop asking for signs. You are the sign. You are the proof. You are the result of everything. They couldn't finish, and the beginning of everything they dreamed. And if you waste it, if you quit now, if you surrender your spirit, then everything they paid becomes a forgotten whisper. But if you fight, if you rise, if you burn with purpose, then they live through you, and no echo ever dies. So when you question your worth, remember the price already paid. When you doubt your strength, remember the shoulders you stand on when you want to walk away. Remember the fire that built your path. And no, this is not about hype. This is about heritage. This is not a phase. This is the war for meaning, and the cost is real. The price is blood, the currency is effort, and the reward is legacy. Not comfort, not applause, but knowing you did not let it end with you. It's not over because you're still here. It's not over because the world still needs fire. It's not over because that blood still echoes, and every heartbeat of yours is a response to it. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Will you let it die, or will you rise and burn so bright they'll never forget who you became? Remember, this is the moment, this is the battlefield, this is the inheritance, and it is sacred. This isn't poetry, this is prophecy, this isn't hype, this is truth. This isn't just about you. This is about every soul that paved your path, and every soul waiting for your light to guide them forward. So rise not for yourself, but for the ones who never could rise, not for applause, but for the echoes that never fade. And if your voice shakes, if your hands tremble, if your heart races, then good. It means you're alive. It means you're feeling it. It means the blood remembers. Now move forward, not softly, but with fire. Not with fear, but with fury. Not with doubt, but with discipline. Because someone paid in blood, and that chase echoes, and it's your name, it's your breath, it's your hands holding the torch. Now, don't drop it, don't break the chain. It's not over. It was never meant to be, and now it begins again. So now you stand on the edge of something ancient and urgent, a weight that presses into your chest and demands your choice. Not with words, but with the kind of decision you make in silence, with the kind of fire that never shows up in pictures. This is not about dramatics. This is about destiny. Because fate didn't write itself in books. It wrote itself in scars, in broken hands that never stopped building, in cracked voices that never stopped speaking truth, in lives lost, not for nothing, but so you could step into the moment they never reached. And now you are here. So what are you going to do? Don't tell the world you're ready. Show the world you remember. Show it in how you show up when no one claps. Show it in how you bleed. Effort into the ordinary. Show it in how you don't bow to fear, even when your knees shake. Show it in how you keep moving forward, because you were not meant to fade. You were meant to forge. You were meant to leave smoke behind you. You were meant to wake the next generation with your noise, not your comfort, not your silence, your noise. The sound of action, of truth, of resilience that never forgets its roots. You see, there's something deep in you that has never been fully broken, no matter how many times life came for your throat. That unbreakable thing, that pulse that keeps going even when you think it's over. That's your inheritance. That's the echo of sacrifice turned into strength. And the world has tried to convince you it's weakness, tried to convince you that numbness is peace, that comfort is success, that quitting is normal, but the blood in you knows better. It remembers the struggle. It remembers the promises made under stars and fire. It remembers the cries that were never answered. And it's asking, will you be the answer now? Not because you're the strongest, but because you refuse to let their story end in silence. You are not alone in this. You carry the unspoken prayers of the ones who had nothing and still gave everything. You carry the final breath of those who believed in a future they'd never see. You carry the echo of blood that still speaks louder than the lies this world tries to sell. So every time you doubt yourself, every time you feel like shrinking, you remember, this is sacred ground. Every step you take is a continuation of a legacy written in defiance. And don't think for a second that your fear disqualifies you. Your fear is proof that this matters. Your doubt is a sign that you're facing something real, something big, something worth every ounce of your being. And that's when you go all in. Not when it's easy, but when it's hell. Because that's where your real self emerges. Not in comfort, but in chaos. Not in applause, but in agony. Not in winning, but in refusing to surrender. You were never meant to play it safe. You were never meant to live a quiet life. You were born to disturb the silence with purpose. You were born to remind the darkness it can't have the final word. You were born to continue the war others began, to hold the line, to carry the flame, to build something with your life that outlives you. And if you can't do it for yourself yet, then do it for them. Do it for the ones who carried you this far, and do it for the ones watching you now, hoping you'll rise so they know they can too. Because someone did that for you. Maybe it was a face you never saw. Maybe it was a name you never knew. But they paid the price. They took the heat so you could breathe. And now the question echoes. Who took the fall so you could rise? Who broke so you could heal? Who was silenced so you could speak? And how will you honor that? Not with tears, not with guilt, but with fire. With relentless, disciplined, purpose-fueled fire. Because that's the only thing worthy of their legacy. Not your perfection, but your refusal to quit. And I get it. Life is loud and overwhelming. And sometimes you want to go numb. You want to forget the pressure. You want to hide from the calling. But the truth doesn't go away just because you ignore it. That echo will haunt you until you answer it, because it knows your name. It knows what you're capable of. It knows what the world still needs from you. And it won't let you go until you rise. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more relentless ones, more raw ones, more broken but won't stop ones, more people willing to sweat for something real, to bleed for something lasting, to love something enough to endure the fire that comes with it. That's you. That's your role. Not someday, right now. Because this isn't about history. It's about inheritance. You are standing inside a story that began long before you, but you get to decide how it continues. You get to be the one who turns pain into power, loss into legacy. You get to be the echo that reaches further, the flame that burns longer, the reason someone else believes they can make it. You were not chosen because you're flawless. You were chosen because you're faithful to the vision, to the fight, to the echo. So make them proud, not by being loud, but by being consistent, by showing up every damn day and doing the work. Because the world won't hand you anything, but it can't ignore someone who refuses to give up. It's not over, because your voice is still here, your hands still move, your heart still beats. And as long as there's breath in your lungs, there's blood in the message, there's fire in the story, there's fight in your name. So rise like every step is a rebellion. Move like every breath is borrowed. Work like the fire behind you is pushing you forward, because it is. And someone took the heat so you could breathe. Don't waste it. Don't wait for it to feel right. Don't pause because it's hard. Don't let the noise of doubt drown the song of sacrifice. Let the echo move you. Let the blood guide you. Let the purpose anchor you. And let your life shout back across the years. It is not over. So here we stand at the edge of all that came before and all that's yet to be. It is impossible to overstate what it means to carry this burden and this blessing. The truth that someone, somewhere, long before you ever took your first breath, was standing in the flames, enduring the unbearable, so that you could live, could dream, could dare. The blood that was spilled did not fall for nothing. It was not a random sacrifice, a tragic accident lost to time. No, it was the foundation upon which everything you have now is built. Every freedom, every choice, every moment of peace that you sometimes take for granted was carved from agony and unwavering resolve. And if you listen carefully, you can still hear it, that echo of sacrifice ringing through the corridors of time, reverberating in your veins. whispering through your heartbeat. It is relentless and unyielding, refusing to be silenced by forgetfulness or fear. It calls you to remember, calls you to rise, calls you to honor the unspoken promises made by those who gave everything so you could have a chance. But here's the brutal truth. That echo doesn't just ask you to remember, it demands action. It demands that you refuse to be a passive inheritor of their legacy, that you refuse to let their sacrifices become a silent burden. It insists that you stand firm when the world tries to wear you down, when your spirit wavers, when the path seems impossibly steep. Because the price paid wasn't for you to settle, it was for you to fight, to carry the torch higher, brighter, fiercer than ever before. You are the living continuation of a story that started long before you and will stretch far beyond your years. That story is filled with pain, yes, but also with hope. It's stained with blood, yes, but also illuminated by courage. It is not finished, and it will never be finished, because every life that came before you set the stage for your fight, and your fight will set the stage for those who come after. So what does this mean for you, here and now? It means this moment, right here, right now, is your call to arms. It is your invitation to step fully into the weight and the power of your inheritance, not to do it because you feel ready or perfect, but to do it because you owe it to every soul who couldn't, to do it because in your hands lies the continuation of a flame that refuses to die, to do it because you are not alone, because their strength runs through you, because their courage fuels you, because their blood echoes in your very being. This is not a time for hesitation. This is not a moment for doubt. This is a sacred trust, handed from generation to generation, to keep alive the fight for meaning, for justice, for freedom, for life. You hold that trust now. You are the answer to the prayers and the dreams of those who came before. You are the next link in an unbreakable chain forged in hardship and hope. So rise. Rise with every fiber of your being. Rise when it hurts. Rise when it feels impossible. Rise because the blood that echoes in you will not let you quit. Rise not for fame or fortune, but for something far greater, legacy, honor, and the fierce determination to make every sacrifice count. You are here because they were there. You breathe because they bled. You stand because they fell. And as long as you rise, their echo will never fade. It's not over. It never was. And now it begins again. With you, with your strength, with your fire. Carry that torch. Keep that flame alive. Be the echo that refuses to be silenced because someone paid in blood. And that echo, that sacred, relentless echo, is yours to answer. Make it count.